Normally I do the call to order. I don't ever think I do.
Read.
We're starting. Statement of public notice. Hereby provided a written notice of the agenda of the public meeting as stated below. There's an opportunity for public comment as noted on the agenda upon recognition of the presiding officer. Roll call. We have Anton, myself, Terry, Joel, and Teresa is here representing your board. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I will move to adopt the agenda.
I will second. Any additions or changes anybody has or any other discussion?
Nope.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of minutes, technology committee from 5/23. What's that? Oh, I missed it. Oh, that was supposed to be before adoption of agenda. All right. We may take items on the agenda out of order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for paying attention for me. Now we have approval of minutes from May. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the May meeting.
I second the motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comments. Does anybody have any comments that they'd like to make for an item that is not on the agenda? And committee members are allowed to make public comments. All right. Items for discussion. Ongoing items. Sunny Lake. So I will email my outline notes to Terry and get those put on the drive, but I'll just talk through them now. We had a great conversation with Tim at Sunnylink. Terry, thanks for getting it set up and got a lot of information to go through. So on-site backup or disaster recovery. The on-site backup is functioning well. We have verified successful restore multiple times. Some just practice, some out of necessity. So the on-site backup with the Synology is working as intended. So that's good news. Off-site backup is not working as expected. The test recovery, when they tried to validate it, the note I have here is it was confusing. The software they're running is DSM, and there was a fault in DSM running on Synology that is supposed to be resolved with version 7.2 that they are, I think they've already installed 7.2. The comment was it's going to take them a couple of months to fully validate that it actually works as intended. Kind of the reason for that timing is, it takes time, is one, and they need to be able to validate in a sandbox. So to create and make sure they have a valid sandbox to validate that the offsite backup is working. So it'll probably be a couple of months before that is 100% working, assuming that version 7.2 does solve the problem. And he has no reason to believe it won't. It looks like other people that were having the same issue that he encountered with ours, 7.2 resolved that as well. So that's the status on that. And Teresa, I don't know, did you hear the beginning of that? The on-site backup is working as intended and designed and has been validated and used multiple times. So that's good. The offsite's not working yet. And so he's working to resolve that. There were some issues with the version of the software, and a new version came out that fixed the specific problem that we had. So I figured you should hear that because that backup is important. Any questions? And Terry, if you have other comments that I missed, feel free to chime in. Any questions on the disaster recovery part? All right, document management. This was an interesting conversation. Tim provided an alternative to OneDrive and Google Drive, and that is that the Synology that we use for backup can act as a shared drive with similar security. They've actually implemented it, they're implementing it with an attorney's office. And thinks that might be a nice way to go because then it's just integrated with our stuff. And it can function the same. So it's almost like a private OneDrive or Google Drive.
You'd only have Word and Excel type documents in there. They would not be converted to Google Docs like they are now in the Google Drive.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
That's a good point, and I'll be honest, I hadn't thought about that. There's a
'Cause that's
downside
the-
to that as
That's the
well.
whole reason for this conversation.
There's so plus side and downside of that, and I hadn't thought about that, is that does mean that there would not be a online tool available for them to view the documents if they don't have their own computer with Word or Excel on it.
Okay,
So that would be a limitation because, OneDrive has Office 365 online that you're allowed to use. Google Drive has Google
yep, Yeah.
tools that you're allowed to use. Synology wouldn't have that. You would have to have, the endpoints would have to have their own tool.
I guess it depends. Sorry, I guess it depends on which Synology functionality he's thinking about. 'Cause Synology does have a editor built in that you can edit like Word
So it'd allow you to
compatible
edit
documents,
a
kind of
Word
like,
document?
yeah.
Oh, we should, I will follow up on that. I'll be honest, it hadn't even occurred to me of that particular thing, so I didn't ask for more details on that. But I'll follow up with that. Terry, I'll work with you to connect with him on that.
It
I'll follow
does
up.
mean that people would need access to the Synology.
Yes. So there's a theoretical risk, although there's that same theoretical risk with OneDrive and
Yeah, well, I'm not thinking so much about the theoretical risk. I'm just thinking more, I don't know if we export the Synology outside on the network right now.
why, I'm not sure I'm following what you're thinking.
Well, so right now, like for Plan Commission, we can put stuff on the Google Drive and everybody can work from home.
Mhm.
Does the Synology have a public address?
Yes.
That's reachable from outside this building?
That's what he was talking about being able to provide.
Okay,
You could set it up as a share on the current Synology.
Well, yes, and that actually would bring up that question that he just asked. Because if you make it a share on the file server, you have to be here on the network to get to that share on the file server.
Okay,
So if you make it a share on the Synology, then the question is, would that be available outside of this network? My impression was yes, because we were talking about it in terms of Google Drive and OneDrive and as a replacement for that for sharing. But I don't recall a specific clarification of that. And I think we probably need to know that.
yeah, I'm just not sure what we allow through the DMZ.
Well, we would have to allow something.
Right,
I'm just not sure what exactly that would be.
yep.
Did Tim say which law office is he's testing that on?
No.
We could find out. I could ask them, but lawyer to lawyer, how it's going.
Okay,
And usually the lawyers are the least skilled with technology people in town.
yeah, well, and a high need for security. So,
Some areas of law, yeah.
yeah, when he said that, I'm like, okay, if it's good enough for a law firm, it's probably good enough for us.
But it would also be from his perspective,
Yeah,
lawyer to lawyer, how
Yep.
easy is it to work? Because Tim is gonna give you a different answer than they
Right.
will.
sure, yep, absolutely.
I can ask them about, routine tasks. Okay.
What was the other thing I wanted to follow up? Oh,
My office is usually the guinea pig for a lot of technology for lawyers, because I think Joel's a patent attorney. Let's try it
Ah.
on him. And we get a lot of failures.
yeah, all right. I don't know if I don't have as much confidence in this idea now that you said the trailblazers have a lot of failures, although I can relate to that. Any other thoughts or questions on that? I'm assuming, I guess I should ask, do people in general think it's worth pursuing this analogy or?
I think you need to pursue it to see what it could provide and not provide, and then make a decision. Are we gonna stay with Google Drive or are we gonna move on? Because that's been the question.
Yep. Okay,
I think the one thing that we should definitely check is what is the fidelity if we put a Word document on there, make it change, pull it back off? Change, does the Synology work with change tracking?
separate from, oh, are you saying
Because
if
that's the big problem we have with Google.
At
is
the
that
plan
if,
commission.
oh,
yeah.
so if you
If we say,
download a copy,
let's suppose we download an ordinance, put it on the Synology, make a change using the Synology Office software, pull
yeah,
that back.
you know, how
What
about
does
if I
that
do
look
this?
like?
How about if we ask Tim to set it up for our committee to experiment with?
And that's fine, but you see, I'm with him.
Yeah, well, that's
Because
why,
if it's not gonna solve that problem that we have with Google Drive, there's no sense in making the change.
yeah,
Because everybody knows where they are at in
Right.
Google Drive. Why would we start into something else that is gonna cause the same problems in the end?
yeah, well, and I'll be honest, I don't know how it would solve that problem.
Well, that's a question to be asked,
Yeah,
because obviously in attorney offices, you have not only attorneys working on documents, you have their staff also possibly working on things. So
Yep.
how does that work?
yeah, and I think this goes to what we had talked about a month or 2 months ago of generally changing the process, so the only person that can update the Google
Right.
Drive
Would be
is
her.
the clerk.
Which I think is also a way of handling that.
Yeah, and I think we pretty much agreed that with any solution, that's the path we need to
Yeah.
arrive at anyway. And then the question is, so within the context of that workflow, how would each of
Right.
the options?
So eventually what this committee has to do is they have to recommend to the board that say we stay with Google Drive. We're gonna stay with Google Drive, but this is gonna be the new policy regarding that drive.
Yep.
And this is how it's gonna work. And we're not deviating from that, no matter what committee or board you're on.
Yep,
Yeah, that's what I want from this group.
Yep.
Whatever we're gonna use and what's the policy.
yep. So we're still a little ways away from that. Any more discussion on this? Next one, emails for committee chairs. The note I had here is Tara will provide the current committee chairs and the desired email addresses for each.
Mhm.
Did you do that?
Yep.
Okay.
Agreed, him and I talked about that, yeah.
So is he working on that? It
It should be.
it
yeah,
is not implemented yet.
Not implemented yet.
Okay.
And we did talk about specifically, they'd be generic committee email
Yeah.
addresses. You
So
can attach
chair-
whatever name you
Yeah,
want. to
Chair
it.
Public Works, Chair Plan
Yep.
Commission, yeah,
Yeah,
yep. Chair
Um,
PC, whatever.
Yeah, what we talked about is is if we wanted, for example, Anton's name attached to chair for planning commission, it could be, Anton could be set up as an alias, but the underline would still be
Yeah,
planning commission.
yeah,
And.
because I
that
don't want to have to
alias-
change it.
Right,
I want it to flow forward, just like it does for the board. The
Yep.
board is set up with town chair, so,
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah.
I would tend to discourage the use of aliases like that.
yeah, the more I thought about it, the less I like that idea. It's fine if you know the person, but.
And all my emails have my signature on them, so they know that I'm the chair, but it all comes to the chair.
Yeah, they can read the email to
Yes.
see
See who I am,
who the chair was.
Yeah.
At the
Yep.
time that that reply came,
right.
so.
So mine
yeah,
automatically get my signature at the bottom.
Yep. Sounds good. So when you talk with Tim, let's just set it up as. And I
Like
guess,
PC chair, PWKS chair, Parks Trails Act, PTR chair.
I'll make sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
sounds good. The next, any other comments or questions on that?
Sounds good.
The next topic was Zoom for government. And he had looked at it and he said, there's probably no value in it for us. It doesn't do anything particularly special.
Right.
It's just a different license with
Yeah.
the same product.
And pretty much the same cost, if I understand correctly.
Yep.
So we're
Um,
not gonna change.
So, yeah, he just really didn't see any
Yeah.
benefit.
I'm fine with not changing.
Security. And this security specifically around the laptop and the concept of whatever device controls the Zoom meetings for for these meetings.
It's been much better since we changed it.
Once you solve a problem that is defined.
Well, it took me a couple of months to figure out what was happening.
Yep.
So your meeting has started off that laptop.
Mhm.
That laptop is controlling your meeting
Yep.
right now. I'm not. But when I'm in the board meeting, I start the Zoom meeting because I'm controlling it so I can do screen sharing, et cetera.
Mhm.
And I have the laptop join me.
Mhm.
Well, what was happening is I would start the meeting like 15, 20 minutes before the meeting and not just start audio or anything.
Mhm.
And then, 5, 10 minutes, I'd start that thing. And right away I'd come back to my computer and I've been taken away. Someone's taken me over. Well, they had my credentials.
Yep.
From, now they don't, because now
Yep.
they're not on the
And
computer.
Zoom said, well, you can't join the meeting twice, so you must have moved to a new device.
That's right. That's right. So then I would take it back and they would take one time. I mean, we went back and forth at one meeting.
It's kind of like two
And now
people
I
on
know
a
who
three-way
it
light
is.
switch.
I know who it is that's done it. And since we changed the passwords on it, it has not happened.
Yep. Last month, Justin did bring up some very valid points that we thought were worth looking into around the security, because this
Yeah.
is connected to the office network, which
Right.
means if I walk up to that laptop, I now am on the town of St. Joseph
Office.
secured internal network.
Right.
So in discussion with him, he suggested that we add a secured isolated, because we don't want to put it on the public one because we've
No.
bandwidth limited that. So that would be a problem. The access points can support multiple virtual hotspots, if you will.
Okay.
So what he suggested is that we set up a secured isolated network just for that machine.
Yeah.
And it would be separated at the hotspot,
Right.
that would not have any other limitations. And the only person we'd give the credentials to would be that laptop to join that.
Yes.
And so in essence, it completely isolates it from internal. It's kind of like it makes it a guest network, but it's a unlimited bandwidth And again, we would secure it limited to just that,
Yeah.
that laptop.
Which
Um,
is what the office gets.
Yes, so the office has unlimited. The
So
new,
then I question this. So then when I'm running the meeting, should I be on that network? And not the office one? Because I'm on the office.
no, that's not an issue.
Okay,
The only reason
good.
it's a problem here is because if, you know, everybody's working in the office and somebody walks in and goes up to that laptop and you don't notice,
Okay.
they could do whatever they want
Gotcha. Okay,
and they're on your network.
gotcha. All right,
Your laptop isn't a concern.
gotcha.
At least
Okay.
I don't personally feel your laptop is a concern.
Yeah.
Because you would be on the office network, which is even more secure, so.
Yeah. Okay, I
Um,
get what you're saying.
So if there were a security, issue.
Yeah, if there's a security issue with Zoom,
We're all in trouble.
the town of St. Joseph is the least of the world's concerns.
Don't worry, we've already been there with Zoom and pornography, so let me tell you. So back to this, that's something that Tim Whiteside could set up then?
Yes,
Okay,
so for that, I think we'd want to make a motion recommending to the, well, do we need to recommend that to the board or is that just something we could?
well, we do
internally?
because there's a cost involved.
Okay,
Yeah, so you would recommend that Tim Whiteside set up this, whatever you call it.
yep. Let me finish the other points that he brought up.
Sure.
So, because we may want to roll more into that.
Right.
The second thing he said that we might want to do is put BitLocker on the drive on that laptop. That would further secure the laptop. Honestly, I don't think that matters because we don't have any town stuff on that laptop.
No,
It's just used for Zoom.
that's
So
right.
Somebody picks
There's
it up
no
and walks
email, there's
away.
no website, there's no nothing.
No
You know?
credentials to anything.
Yeah, the only credentials it would even have would be to the hotspot that gets them to the outside that doesn't get them to anything anyway. So that to me, and I personally have seen so many issues with BitLocker on laptops.
Oh, really?
If we don't really need it, I don't really think it's a good thing to do. Anton, I don't know, or
Who recommended
Joel.
that?
Tim was just suggesting
Okay.
to maximize the security on that device. There were actually 3 different things to do. One was obviously putting it on its own network.
Yeah.
A second level of additional security, if we wanted to protect what's on that laptop.
Yeah, but there's nothing on it.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought, but I figured I should mention it anyway. And then the third thing was to operate it in kiosk mode, which then limits what you can actually run on that laptop. So it could basically be set up so that laptop can only run Zoom.
What's up there, Ray Anton?
Hmm?
What is that?
Some of what's on the laptop,
Oh,
election
okay.
worker training.
Oh, sure, because she does it for training.
Yeah. Is
Yeah, because she downloads that for training.
there any concern with that? Is that public
No.
or private?
Well, it's no concern because she does it for training for the election workers.
But I would wonder what else might wind up on there.
Which does lead, so BitLocker protects the hard drive if somebody stole it
The laptop.
and,
Yeah.
Okay,
and tried to get stuff off of it.
because it's a locked devices on it now.
What's that?
It's locked now.
Oh, it's got a
Cable
a locking
yeah.
cable. Although those are not hard to defeat.
I know, but
Um,
you know,
Reasonably protected.
the doors are locked here, so the only time there's people in here is for 4-H, really? That's it. Everything else, nobody's in here. Because we don't
Yeah.
rent this hall out anymore.
And again, we'd want to be careful not to put anything that shouldn't be publicly visible
Right.
to,
But you see, if we decide to reorganize in this building and add on to it, we're talking about putting a IT room in, which would move that to it.
Ah.
Then it would be fully secure inside the room and no one could touch it.
Sorry, what would be fully inside the room?
All of this equipment, except for the microphones.
including the laptop.
How would people start the meetings?
The clerk would have to go in or, oh, I see what you're saying.
Somebody's-
It's got to be
yeah.
out here, wouldn't it?
Carrie doesn't want to be here at the start of every meeting.
No, you're right. So it would have to stay out here. You're right. Forget I said that.
And by the way, these aren't, each one of these is a standalone option, so
Okay.
you can pick and choose
Yep.
any combination. The third thing he mentioned was kiosk mode. And that's where you restrict the laptop so it boots up into what you want or to a desktop that only has, for example, Zoom on it. Although we need to make sure it can still be used for the other
Election
things
training.
that Terry uses it for.
But Terry could download
use
the
the
election training onto a flash drive and just pop it in there.
Well, you still have to have whatever available to run and display that. So
Oh.
for example, if we locked it down to Zoom,
if it only runs Zoom, then
Gotcha.
then yeah, so, but it, and that was one thing I specifically asked, when I've done kiosk mode, just because of the nature of the times I've used it, we had it boot into an application and that was it.
Okay,
Turns out you can have it in kiosk mode and have the desktop accessible with just a couple of items, which I wasn't aware of. So that would be an option. And he mentioned two different additional tools that the kiosk mode itself that is part of Windows is not that hard to defeat. So if you've got
Okay.
somebody that's moderately skilled and motivated to break through it, kiosk mode doesn't provide real protection. It's
Yeah.
more of the, it keeps honest people honest kind of a thing.
and without BitLocker, you can just boot off a external drive.
But you're not going to get to the hard drive if you boot off an external drive. The internal hard drive will be inaccessible to you because it's encrypted by BitLocker.
Right, if we have BitLocker,
Yes.
but we were,
Oh, so if we don't use BitLocker and
right.
they boot, yeah. But he did mention two other tools that he's used for other organizations to create secure kiosks. One is called Fortress Grand and the other is called Deep Freeze.
yeah,
And they are products, and I don't have pricing on them. He didn't have it off the top of his head. And I didn't know if we wanted to pursue it or not. I don't think going with kiosk mode without something like Fortress Grand or Deep Freeze gives us real security. It just gives us an illusion of security. So to me, that's a waste of time. And Anton brought up the thing, even with either of those, if you don't have BitLocker, you can still boot off like a flash drive
Yeah.
and then get in. But to me, it really came down to, is there anything on that, on the machine itself that we need to protect?
no, no,
So-
really not. I mean. Yeah, say somebody walked out with it, we would just
Yeah.
have to change our Zoom.
Yeah.
account. That's the only thing we'd have to really change.
And you'd have to buy a new laptop.
You what?
And you'd have to buy a new laptop,
And find. a
which
new-
would be the biggest. The biggest
cost.
problem of it.
But, you know,
The
I
cable
don't,
takes care of that.
yeah, and I don't see that, you know, I'm trying to balance how much of a risk it is. You know,
Yeah, and the, to me, since it is dedicated to this purpose, it's not like it's a
it's not like
office
hers,
laptop that
right,
is used during the day for normal office stuff and has all the other stuff on.
that
it.
has, she has access to the drive on hers, where that one does, you know,
Yep.
the. Everything, that one.
And I do
doesn't.
think to Anton's point, we'd probably want to do an exercise of cleaning that up.
That
just
would
to
be
make
great.
sure.
If you guys want to do that, I would be happy to see that.
So I'd say that would be kind of part of the recommendation. So to me, as I'm thinking of it from a recommendation perspective, I'd say no brainer to move it to set up the isolated network. That's
Yep.
just a couple of hours of Tim's time. And then reviewing the files on it to make sure there's nothing that isn't public info on it.
Right,
Who's Lance Schmidt?
Hmm?
Who's Lance Schmidt?
who's who?
Lance Schmidt,
Lance Schmidt.
last person to log into Gmail on the laptop.
Oh, really?
Oh, I don't know.
Schmidt's on County Road V, just north.
I don't know.
Schmidt Farm, isn't it?
That's interesting. How long ago was that?
That long ago, it's still in
Oh, you're kidding.
history.
So people say, oh, hey, it's a public computer.
Not sure I can easily tell.
Okay,
Recently, fairly recently.
well, then that means we do need to get that on its own network and get it cleaned off.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion and we'll get it done.
All right. Anybody want to take a shot at a motion? Or you want me to?
Let's see.
I'll take a shot. I make a motion that we recommend to the board that we take 2 steps to secure the Zoom laptop. Step 1 is to engage SunnyLink to set up a secured isolated network, wireless network, just for the laptop that would be isolated from the office network. And then set the laptop up to use that network. And that they request the clerk's office reviews all files on the laptop to make sure there are no non-public files.
I'll second that motion.
All right, more discussion? Comments?
But kiosk mode is not part of the recommendation?
I don't know that I want to recommend kiosk mode at this point.
Yeah. I would probably agree.
Yeah, just kiosk mode
No.
to me is just an illusion. And not worth the trouble. And it would probably cause trouble for Terry.
Okay.
I would
Then I'm
be
definitely
certainly,
satisfied not having
What's
kiosk.
that?
Yeah, I'm definitely satisfied not having kiosk mode if it caused trouble for Terry.
well, and if I guess I would say if at some point in the future, we decide that there's a risk or people are, routinely using it to check Gmail or something. We probably want to go back and visit either Fortress Grand or
Okay.
Deep Freeze to further secure the laptop.
Thank you.
But I don't see, unless anybody else sees a pressing need for that at this point. If Justin were on, he'd probably support some extra security, but I don't think it buys us. All right, any other questions, discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries.
There is someone by that name in Hudson. All right, we got to get that done. All right.
Laptop devices for town board members. I'll be honest. I kind of reviewed this and I was thinking I should tally this all up on a nice spreadsheet and I never got around to it. But oh, interesting. To me, kind of the big question was the last one, which didn't get answered on that form.
The town-owned device question.
Yeah, because to me, if we provide you a device and you're still going to use your personal device, then we're
Why
not
bother?
doing anything of value.
Hmm.
But we seem to be about split.
So I was at the WTA training recently about public records. And one of the things they stated, because they talked about personal devices, that if you're using your personal device for something, if you've made a point of always copying the clerk on it, say documents or whatever you're doing, you're protected. And we've had public records requests in this town that were made to board members, the chair and the clerk's office. And my answer has always been, all of my documents have been copied to the clerk. All of my emails are copied to the clerk. And she can tell you
Mhm.
that she gets emails constantly from me that I copy. If board members are not doing that, that's a problem. Then of course, it's a problem on their personal devices. But if you're using your government issued email, what's the problem? She can go in and look at that and pull off public records.
Well, that's a good point. Even if it's your device, the email is still hosted,
Exactly. So once you take.
which
the
is much different than when, like, if it just gets back to the committee chairs, if you're using your
Right.
personal Gmail address.
Right, exactly. So now, if you take email out of the equation altogether, because email's out of the equation, because she can access every email account in this town for public records.
Yep.
And we've done it. Now what do you have left? All you have left is if you're working on a document. So for instance, I worked on, let's talk about this. I worked on a letter to the school district regarding the fact that we wanted to support keeping the Holton School open. I didn't have it done before the meeting. I handed it out at the meeting. Someone requested that document prior to the meeting, and I said, it's not done. And as long as you're working on it, it's not a public document.
That's not a public document until it's been shared with somebody.
Till it's shared with somebody. So I can sit here on my own computer and I can write out 20,000 letters. And as long as they don't go anywhere, it does not matter. But the minute I share it with anyone, it's a public document.
Yep.
Exactly. So after I shared it, that's when it becomes a public document. And there are documents that come in to and from the attorney that say client privileged. They can't ask for those. And we've had people who have asked for those documents, can't have them because it's attorney-client privilege. So if he sends us a letter, it's not open to the public. If it says attorney-client privilege, which you would know. Yeah, so that's not open. So I come back to this whole thing,
Mhm.
this whole exercise. And I want to say to the board members and committee chairs, what is the fear? Now, if your fear is that you're using your personal email for town business, that's a problem, but that's on you. Which I never do. I have both of them on my computer. I have one that says Outlook and I have one that the icon is an envelope. So I know which one is which.
Well, and what's interesting is, just kind of at a high level, there's only one person that explicitly wouldn't use their personal device
Yeah,
if the town provided one. Now, I guess it's more of a board discussion to me in that context is would that discourage somebody from running for the board because they don't have a device or I don't really know the answer to that question. I certainly wouldn't want to say that, to be on the board of this, to be a supervisor for the town of St. Joseph, you have to have a laptop. That's not a reasonable requirement. But I don't know that that's the case.
well, we have someone on the board right now who does not have a laptop.
And if we gave money, still wouldn't have a laptop.
He still wouldn't. have a laptop. Name unknown. But
Well, that's the thing. It's
he
like,
has the ability on his device at home to look at what he has to look at. So if you think about this, you have your email account that is government issued and you have your Google Drive, which is government issued. Everything on there is public record that she has full access to. Full access. Now, I copy her on everything so that she knows what's going on. Because I hate operating in a vacuum. So I make sure she knows if I'm talking to somebody about something or she knows it so that if they are then calling the office thinking they didn't get the right answer from me and trying to get a different answer from her. She
no,
knows.
people do that.
Oh, geez, do they do that? No. Ha. Yeah, you two will appreciate, I just got a little side note, you'll appreciate this. Someone called me up about a lot line adjustment. And I said, well, no, that's not a lot line adjustment. A lot line adjustment is if you move one line. Well, they had this property and they wanted to do 2 lines. I said, that's a subdivision.
Mhm.
That's a CSM when you do 2 lines, because you're creating a new lot. She goes, well, I just want to do a lot line adjustment. I just want to put 2 lots on there, 2 lines on there and make a lot line adjustment. I go, no, a lot line adjustment is when the lots already exist and you're moving the line some way or fashion.
I'm moving the line between me and my neighbor by 5 feet. 'cause
So guess what she did? She did not like my answer,
oh.
so she called them up. So I get a call from Michelle and she goes, what exactly is a lot line adjustment? Because she wants to know if she can do this. And I go, it's one line, Michelle. They already exist and you're moving it side to side or up and down, whatever which. You're moving one. It's a lot line adjustment. She goes, oh, and she's trying to do a CSM, isn't she? Go, yes, she is. But you see, that's what happens. They don't like my answer, so then they go to
Yeah.
somebody else. And
Must like-
Terry's gotten very smart about that.
Who's getting there?
Yeah.
So,
So my question is, I think what the board was concerned with more so on this is if we decided to provide laptops to the board members or some other device, what is the cost? What's the years of replacement? You know, where do you go with this? Because does it become a cost that's not cost effective?
yeah, and realistically, so the board is 5 people, right? So realistically, if you're gonna provide the laptops, you want 5 identical laptops,
Mhm.
which means you want 6 identical laptops because you want a spare if one breaks.
Okay,
Maybe.
If they're identical to what we already have for the clerk, for example, you wouldn't need that. But you don't want a situation where a board member's laptop dies. And now that person that was depending on it is out of commission for a month. Which is, if it's under warranty, a month is not an uncommon
right.
downtime. I'd say just from a general perspective, to me, you figure it's about $1,000 a device. When you consider the hardware, the software, and
And by the time you have Tim set them all up,
yeah. So you're looking at about, $5,000 every, 4 years?
Every 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
okay,
And based on the surveys, I don't see there'd be a huge value in it. And I guess how would you deal with a situation where somebody gets elected to the board, they don't have their own device, and they want to be able to review stuff? Would you just
Well,
have them come into the?
what happened in
office?
the past, if someone did not have a device, the clerk printed everything off for them and put them in their mailbox. Because if they don't have a device, they're not computer savvy to
Yeah.
even do work on it. So maybe they did not use their email, or maybe they did on their phone, but otherwise they don't, I mean, he has all his email on his phone. So if I email him, he'll see it.
Yep.
That day, maybe not right away, but that day. Google Drive, he looks at home. And he'll ask her if he needs something run off. So he'll ask her to do that, because he does not come with a device. Nor does he want to.
So I have a couple of questions. I know this got added to our agenda. It wasn't a specific request by the board. It wasn't a directive. I don't believe it was I don't believe we were directed by the board to look into this.
Yeah, you were asked to look into.
Oh, we were,
Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah.
we do need to make a specific, what I was trying to figure out is if
We
If
need to
we-
respond.
if we just decide not to make a recommendation, or so it sounds like we do need to respond.
I think you need to respond and maybe you can wait, if you want to wait till next month and just put in your points.
Mhm.
You know, cost may be one of them, the fact that your email is a government email, so if you're using it, you don't have to worry that you're using it on your personal device because she has access to your email. Tim Whiteside and her both have access. That's happened in the past when someone is asked by public records requests for specific emails from a specific board member, and the clerk has gone in there and gotten them.
Yeah, and we prevent people from deleting emails from those accounts.
Yes, they're told they can't delete, and Tim has it set up so
Oh,
that
they're the,
it archives them.
what do they call it? Something old.
So
It's a legal term.
It archives them, so like in
Well,
my,
there's an actual legal
I know.
setting you can set that says even if I
has it.
delete it,
Retention.
it can't delete it,
it looks deleted to the person.
right, but it's not.
It's
So I
like a
go back in
discovery hold
mine,
or,
yeah, I can go back
legal.
in mine and see every,
Yeah.
because I don't delete emails that have a town business, but I may delete something from the state of Wisconsin or the DOT, and I'll hit delete because I don't want it
Yep.
garbaging up my mailboxes or my folders.
Yep.
And I'll hit delete, but if I go into my delete, I could still see it.
well, in theory, you can clear those out, but even if you clear out your
They'll
deleted,
still there.
you can hide it, the delete will hide it from yourself. I'll
Right.
double check if I'm gonna talk with Tim anyway, but I'll just make sure that the audit hold or whatever the heck that.
Yeah.
It's an
So I think
outlook
next
setting.
month, put it on your agenda and just come with a list of why you're gonna vote, why you recommend this. You know, because the emails are government issued, the Google Drive is government issued. You know, it doesn't matter what device you use it on.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the other important point is if you're working on a document
That hasn't been
that hasn't
shared.
been shared yet, it's not discoverable because
Right.
it's not a individual work in progress isn't a public,
Right.
isn't a public record
Right.
yet, so. Like this little document I created, it's not public until I shared it.
And
Fantastic.
the important thing is people should know the only way to share something should be to use email, their government email or the
Yes.
Google Drive.
Right.
Yes, you're exactly right.
And
Thomas-
presumably we have that in the whatever the code for supervisors, the town rules or whatever.
Right,
Do
That's a good
supervisors
idea.
get like a training session?
I try,
That should be in there.
I know, I try that.
Actually, and committee members should be,
Well, and Terry and I'll talk about that and maybe doing another one of those trainings with everybody. Because we used to do them in the past.
yeah, wouldn't
That's
be
a
a
good
bad
idea.
idea to have like a couple page,
Yep.
quick reference
Yep.
guide as well.
Good idea. Terry and I will work on that.
And the next time you do a training, I'd suggest even if it's in person, record it on Zoom
Yeah,
and make the recording available.
that's a good idea. Fantastic. See, this is why we have these meetings.
All right, so anybody want to come back next week with, or next month with draft on that? Volunteers?
See you next month. I will be gone next month.
Wow, that seems like an easy way out.
But I might
Did
I
anyone
might
just say
dial
he's
in. It's
gone?
like six
I'll go ahead.
AM. I can do that probably.
I'll go ahead and take it as a to-do. All right, and then town website. So Terry had some updates on the town website.
All right, so with the town website, I have been trying to update the website, try to move things around or change things, and it's basically impossible. I've even asked, I did a chat with somebody at Civic Plus to see, you know, do I have the highest level of permissions? Why can't I do anything? And they said, yes, I do. So it's basically, if we want to do anything and change the website, we have to do a redesign or do for smaller things, we can send them a request and they can change little things
And we pay them.
and we pay them, correct? So with that, and I personally think it's kind of a mess. The
Okay,
website, I am not happy with it, and people are calling every day, they can't find things on it, it's just not good, and not in good
This
shape,
is the front page.
yeah. It's just not good.
Did you change it to that? Because it didn't used to be that.
Somebody
change
along
it.
the line changed it. I don't know who. It was before I got here.
That
It's
was
been like
it.
that ever since I've been here.
Oh, okay.
Scroll down and
For
and
some
show them that transparent, the click thing, like there's
Yeah.
little,
My laptop
links.
works enough that I could get to that.
Yeah, there's like little links for like the agenda
Yeah,
and forms, but the background of it is transparent and I cannot change it.
Is that what you mean?
Go up, just to go up a little bit more. And you'll see those little, go the other way. No, the other way, yep. Keep going, see that?
Down
See
here?
those little, yep. You can't hardly see
You
them.
can't see them there. Yeah.
I
Those things
was-
there, you should be able to click on them and go to agenda and
Yeah,
whatever.
and
That
you
was just my
can't see them. It
point.
has a transparent background. And I can't put a
You can't
solid
change it.
background behind it.
that seems
This is the biggest complaint that
odd.
they get in this office all the time.
Yeah, people cannot find things on the website.
So then let me show you. I'll get
And I
it up
did
here.
change some things. I did try to clean it up a little bit. I updated forms and did all that type of thing. However, I did have a talk with Town Web, because we use Civic Plus.
So this is the town website.
Yes.
This is the town of Somerset. And
Hmm.
it has, first of all, it has icons right here that you can catch on everything.
Mhm.
And then it has a variety of things as you drop. This is the newest meetings. Everything is on there, but and everything is on that front page. But the best part of this,
Yeah, this is cool. Town Web is template based. So it's a lot easier to get in there and manipulate it and add things, change, whatever.
Mhm.
And they provide like support.
here's the best
24/7.
part, and you can't see it very well because it's washed out. They have tiles for all the forms,
So,
which is the biggest question we get. Where are the forms?
People can't find any.
And where are the meetings?
Mhm.
Those are the two biggest things we get.
Yeah, so I had a conference call, like a Zoom with a guy over there and he kind of went through their template with me today.
Mhm.
And showed me all these different things that we can do
for Town Web,
for Town Web. And I was very pleased with it. It's gonna be very easy to add things or, upload documents or move things around
This is
or.
how the calendar works.
Mhm.
So it starts out with. With town board. And it lists all the meetings, and it goes to planning commission, it just goes drops right down, so you have them all, and you can see both. The agenda, the minutes, and if there was any handouts for it. Or the Zoom meeting.
Or
We
the
have
Zoom meeting I can put on there too.
you mean you don't have to go through 4 clicks to get to the agenda?
No, isn't that great?
And you can
Yeah.
apply for a dog license online.
Yes,
Oh, wow.
Yes.
all that is on there, so tell them about the GovPay.
Okay, so then we currently use what's called all paid. So people can go online and they can pay for
Mhm.
things online. He said that they could most likely have that converted over to the new website if we went with Town Web. He said they work with that company to make it happen, which is good. They can also do our E-code, which is our ordinances. He said, it's probably just a link, but they can set that up so we don't have to worry about losing our ordinances where people can click on an ordinance and go right into the general code or E-code or whatever it's called. And they can look at the ordinances in full on there. That's not gonna be a problem either with them. The only thing I don't have is their pricing because he hasn't sent the quote over. I just met with him today, saw his Zoom today.
Which of course is the first question actually, that was the
Yes.
third question I had.
Yeah.
Um,
So my thought is it's probably gonna be more expensive. I don't know, but I don't
Well, I
know.
don't care if it's more expensive, we have nothing here.
Yeah,
yeah, so I guess I'm gonna kind of recap what I think I've heard and
okay.
summarize it as concisely as I think I can.
Mhm.
So what I'm hearing is the current tool, Civics Plus, really isn't meeting the needs of the town and is time consuming and cumbersome just to get what we can get out of it, but it's even with that, it's not meeting our needs.
Correct.
So that's kind of, if you will, that's the problem statement.
And didn't I send you an email or something and I said, how many towns in St. Croix, how many municipalities in St. Croix County have what? Remember I sent you that?
Yeah, I do.
No?
I do remember that, but I don't.
So there's only us and one other that have Civic Plus.
Are most of the other ones using Town Web?
There's, everyone else uses Town Web except 2 or 3 have their own web design people.
Yeah,
Okay.
one, the city of Hudson
Yes.
uses Civic Plus. And there, I think there was one other town.
Let me see. if I
Everybody else
can
uses
find it in
Town
my
Web.
email. I bring that up because it was amazing to me when I went through everybody, how few had Civic Plus. And I think part of it is, it's so difficult to use.
Well, and what's interesting is you said, now, the city of Hudson you said is on.
I
Civic
thought
Plus?
it was the city of
So
Hudson.
they would be the one that could have specially trained people that live, eat, and breathe
Right.
this to deal with the
probably
fact that
have
it's
an IT
difficult to
department,
use
correct.
because they're big enough.
Mhm.
No, I did research. Here I said, okay, 15 out of the 30 municipalities have Town Web. Town of Troy, Hudson, Somerset, Star Prairie, Richmond, River Falls, Kinney, Emerald, Erin Prairie, Forest, Pleasant Valley, Stanton, and Warren, and the Village of Roberts and Star Prairie all have Town Web. Wisconsin Web Design does the town of Baldwin and Hammond. Why the Fuss Technical Solutions does O'Galley? I have never heard of those. Easy Media does Town of Rush River and Village of Hammond. Municode, which is a big one, does the Village of Baldwin. Government websites by Cattails is the Village of North Hudson. I have no idea what that is. And Revised Long Login is the Somerset. Unknown is Cylon, Glenwood, Village of Deer Park, Village of Woodville, and the town of Springfield doesn't have any.
Well, I can say from a business perspective, I don't want to be special. There's, if half the communities are using Town Web, I'd rather be in that pool than be the
Yeah.
special outsider, and I certainly wouldn't want to go with a custom kind of a one-off
Mhm.
solution.
We've
Yeah.
done that before.
Yeah, that's,
So what I would recommend that you
We're not big
do
No.
is that I'll have her forward this email to you guys. Go online and look at them. Somerset, the town of Somerset you said just got theirs updated.
Yeah, because Town Web just came out with a new template, which is the one that you saw. And Somerset's using that. And it's really nice and very easy to, even,
easy's good.
I like easy.
Yeah.
I do.
And the town of Hudson uses it, and I'll be honest, when the town of Hudson lost their clerk and I was their deputy, I had to step into that role with no one to train me. And I was like, okay, you all know how much IT I speak. I got on Town Web Design or Town Web, I had the passwords for it. I was able in 10 minutes to download everything and do what I needed to do on that website, and I am no website person at all. You guys know that. I am none of that. And I was shocked at how easy it was.
Well, do we, I guess a couple things. So what we definitely need to know is the pricing.
The pricing. Oh,
And what I would like to know for next meeting, because it's going to be relevant, is what is the current Civics Plus costing us? And what would, because really we want a cost differential.
the other thing is I did get a contract from Civic Plus for our current website. And I was looking at it, and we have to give them 60 days. And our current time it's calendar year, so it's January to
Okay.
December.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're kind of stuck with them through December. Well,
Well-
we're paid through December
We're paid through December.
regardless. We need to make a call by end of October,
Yes.
really by
Mhm.
end of
Yes.
September.
Yes.
So the board can make the call in October.
You're
So
right.
we've got 2 months.
Currently, we're
Which is fine.
paying them, it's just a little less than $3,000 a year. like 28.
But if you want to change that front page,
Oh, if I want to do a redesign, it would cost us about $5,000
Yeah, so that,
to do a
and
redesign.
again,
I'll
put
put
those
it all in
numbers
a-
together.
yes.
And again, it doesn't have to be exact, you know, a ballpark, because if we
Okay.
want to, and I wouldn't say, I wouldn't word it as even if we want to do a redesign, I'd word it as if we want to meet the requirements that we have, it would cost $5,000,
Okay.
Yeah.
because,
Mhm.
well, again, I want to kind of focus on what are the requirements? We need a site that meets those.
Yeah.
This doesn't without a redesign.
Mhm.
right,
And so just keep it in that context
Okay.
as opposed to
perfect.
trying to,
So I
Yeah,
will do
we
it
should
in-
have a list of what we want out of the website.
yeah. That would be the other thing. Yeah, it's kind of here's the requirements that we're looking
Well,
for.
I will say, honestly, if you look at some of these websites like the town of Troy or the town of Somerset, they're easy to use. Just go on them and say, I want to look up their agenda for their board meeting. How do I find that? You'll find, and then go to ours and try to find that. You know, or, you know, elections or a dog license or zoning, you know, stuff.
Well, and the reality is there's two costs to it not being easy to find stuff. One is you irritate your citizens. And two is then they call
Right,
the town clerk, who then has to spend time trying to walk them through.
walk them through
And
it.
walking
lot of time.
somebody
A
through
lot of time.
finding something on a website is.
It's one of the biggest complaints I get. When people complain to me, I can't find this. Why is this so hard? Why is this so difficult? Why can't I? Why is your front page only has that on? How can I find the rest of this? So you're constantly trying to type things into the search bar to find them, and not always does it take you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate that as a solution.
Right.
Too many sites just say, we're gonna go crappy layout and just search.
Yeah.
Except search always finds 20 things I don't want,
Yeah,
Yes.
and it finds the thing I want,
If you're
but
lucky.
because it's buried in with all the stuff I don't want, I can't actually find it, so.
well, and it's hard for the layperson who doesn't know what it is they want. You know, to be quite honest, you know, when someone calls me up and says, I want to subdivide property, and I say, how many lots? And they tell me, I go, well, you can go on the website and you can find the application for a certified survey map, or you can find the application for a preliminary plat. And they're like, oh, and then what if they forget that? Now they're on there looking for plat and certified survey map doesn't come up.
Yeah,
See, it just
Mhm.
makes it hard. And Terry has struggled with the forms on there because they're in 5 different places instead of one place to go to them.
Yes.
well, and to be
That's the other
honest,
thing.
the difficulty with Civics Plus has been ongoing since this committee was formed. And the reality is the only solution we really have within Civics Plus is investing in a lot of training.
Yeah, and a redesign.
That
And a
was,
full
that,
redesign.
that's a new factor that we need a redesign that they would have to do.
Yeah,
I think we were always at least under the assumption that if we had somebody trained enough, they would be able to do it.
Well, and
Uh,
I'm savvy enough with it that I should be able to do some of these things and I can't do any of them.
Yeah, so the reality is, if we don't spend money, so in addition to the cost of Civic Plus, we also have ongoing training costs because that's come up almost nonstop
Yeah.
since
It's kind
since
of,
before this committee was formed, so.
Yep.
and I'm spending probably way too much time on it. That I shouldn't be to get things on there.
Yeah, and that is a pretty big justification all by itself.
Yeah.
You know, if we go back and say, well, we need to get another half head count. Just because of the website,
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
that's a pretty good justification,
I-
even if,
I-
and again, we have no idea how much town web's gonna cost yet, so let's find that out.
The thing I see about Town Web is that she would have more ability to manipulate and do what she wants to do on it. She can't do that on Civics Plus.
Well, we're speculating, right? Unless you've talked to the clerk and at these other places, and they've said,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, we can do this as opposed to we have to fall
Yeah.
into it.
Well, he was kind of showing me
Yeah.
today, because I was on the Zoom with him and he was showing me, he was clicking on and showing different things that you could do on it,
Mhm.
which was really great. And, you know, like changing things and whatnot. We didn't get into it so far as to, you know,
Mhm.
but
Definitely
there was
more than what we have today.
way more than what I have today. Absolutely. It was great.
Yep.
But I can also talk to Jerry at the town of Somerset and just ask her.
Get some,
Yeah.
yeah, what do you think about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, let's find out the cost, because if the
Yeah.
costs are more or less a wash, or if they're close, then it's a much easier discussion than if, you know, Civics Plus is, you know, we'll say $8,000 a year, 5,000 for consulting and 3,000 for license, and it turns out that Town Web is $15,000 a year. That's a much different conversation.
Yeah, no kidding.
So,
Redesign.
definitely, and I would say for the agenda for next month, let's
Mhm.
specifically say.
Do we need to get the board to authorize her to ask for a quote or something?
Mm-mm,
I would
No.
think for a quote.
Yeah.
We'd,
just a quote.
and I guess the other question I do have related to that though is if. Is there a threshold at which point we would have to go out for a bid versus just
No.
making a call?
No,
Okay, because I don't really want to open up a whole discovery of
No,
what are all the.
you don't have to
different
do
things
that.
out there, and
Oh, my God.
I don't really want to do that. So I'm thinking what we really want for the agenda next month is, as the agenda item is Town Web to replace Civics Plus specifically.
Yeah.
That way people know specifically what we're thinking. If they
Yeah.
look at the agenda.
Right.
Um,
I
Mhm.
like that.
so. Cool.
Says budget friendly on their website.
What's that?
Says budget friendly on their website.
Oh.
And it says, we make the clerk's life easier. So,
Well, those are the two things we're looking
I
for.
like
From
those
the-
taglines.
When I looked at it the last time, a couple months ago, I think it was January, their prices were not that much different than, they were pretty similar. So we'll see.
That's my guess, but,
We'll see
Yeah.
unless they did a big price raise. or
well,
something.
yeah, maybe they discovered that, hey, our competition is really garbage. We should charge an extra fee.
I assume it's on some sort of population based scale.
Hmm.
So,
No,
We'll find out the next month.
and it was one thing too, the guy that I spoke with today, he was actually a clerk in Wisconsin for about 17 years. So he kind of knew, he's one that puts a lot of thought into what they do, which was kind of cool because he knew where I was coming from when I was talking to him, which was nice. It wasn't just, you know, somebody that didn't
He wasn't
understand.
some sales guy that's never actually worked. in
Exactly.
software in his life.
Exactly, exactly right. So there you go. Okay,
Yeah, it seems like that is about due, because again, this has been really a point of challenge
Mhm.
ongoing since before you were on board.
yeah.
I believe it. Yeah.
Well, and our biggest problem, there's been a lot of hands on that website. And it's really a mess.
Hmm.
Behind the scenes. So if you type something and you can't believe what all comes up.
I've never really used search on our website.
You should do that sometime. And then try,
I'm generally not happy with it, no matter where
well,
what
then try
website
it
I'm
on the other
so.
website and see what it says. You might be surprised.
Before I updated it, if you typed in variants, you'd come up with 2 different applications.
Oh,
Yep,
Yeah,
not
that's
kidding.
not confusing at all.
Yeah, no,
no, not at all.
it's an idea. Okay.
All right, any more that we need to talk about the town website this month? Definitely a bigger discussion next month. Recommendations to town board. We just have the security recommendation for the laptop.
all right,
Items for next agenda.
website.
We have website. Let's make the website the top one on the agenda. We'll have Sunny Link again. We'll get, I want to keep the disaster recovery allowed backup final update. I don't know that we'll have a final by next meeting, but
Mhm.
we should at least have a checkpoint.
Yep.
Um.
Document
the
management stays there.
Document management. The sub bullet on that, we can keep. Actually, do we just want the sub bullet to be the Synology at this point, or do we still want to be looking at the?
I'd say the Synology at this point.
Yeah, so let's put the Synology. Call it Synology option.
Like document management, Synology.
That works. We'll keep email for committee chairs. Get an update on that.
Zoom for government, we can cross off.
Yep, I'll carry that over. And then security for laptop, we'll keep that on just to see
What the board,
what the board's at.
Yep.
We'll have laptop devices for town board members, so basically review what I'm expecting will be a recommendation not to buy devices. And then we've already got town website. Any items that we should look at that haven't been on the agenda yet? All right, date of next meeting,
July 20.
July 25th. Wow, our website doesn't work very well.
See?
I'm like, how do I get to July? I could have sworn I used to be able to do that. All right, I'll take your word for it, because I don't have that on my my laptop, because it's all messed up.
They're on our website. Calendar page.
No problem.
Do a motion to adjourn.
June. Oh, man.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. We're adjourned.